Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe and all of that good stuff. They don't want a war with Big Juggernaut. This fight between Joyce and Joseph Parker really wasn't a fight. This was a one-sided assault. Nobody has done that to Joseph Parker in his career. More or less, this was one-sided. Parker, he showed good toughness, showed good heart to stick in there because, I don't know man, I felt at times he could have easily swallowed it and quit. But he showed good toughness, but he really had nothing for Joyce. And yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this has been Joyce's best performance in his career. First round was actually quite a good round for Joseph Parker when both guys were starting out. It started as a feel-out round, both guys kind of using their lead hand. I felt Parker's lead hand was quicker, more active. He also landed a few body shots in the first round, which I felt was wise. He also landed a couple of right hands over the top. I felt round one was a good round for Joseph Parker. However, one thing I noted in the first round was that, yes, Parker won the round in my opinion, but immediately, from the very first bell, he was expending a lot of energy. Joyce was walking him down, pouring with a jab, and he was applying a lot of mental pressure on Joseph Parker. Round two was where the fight essentially started to turn. Joyce was more active with his jab. He wasn't falling short like he was in round one. The jab was starting to land on Joseph Parker, and immediately it had an effect. Joseph Parker's nose started leaking with blood, and yeah, I felt immediately, first 2 or 3 rounds, you could see that this was going to be a long night for Joseph Parker. In the first 3 or 4 rounds, Parker was still having moments of success. At times he was countering Joyce's lead left hand with his right hand over the top, and that was catching Joyce, but it had no effect. Whereas Joyce in round 2 was walking Parker down with that jab, landing it at will, and he was starting to get in the pocket and work those short hooks on the inside. And also, Joyce's lead uppercut in this fight was tremendous. Really short uppercut, almost like a 5-inch punch. Really short uppercut, but it was having an effect. Round 3 was more of the same, and essentially in this fight, round by round, it was Joyce slowly turning up that pressure cooker, slowly increasing his output, slowly increasing the pressure, and it was like Joyce was just warming up, and you could see after round 2, round by round, Parker was becoming more and more gassed. So yeah, round 3 was another good round for Joyce. At this point, it was clear that Parker was essentially looking for one Hail Mary punch. And in round 4, it's funny because he landed a picture-perfect overhand right on Joyce. Again, countering Joyce's lead left hand. And he caught Joyce bang on the chin as Joyce was coming forwards. Now, I know Parker's not known as like a monster puncher, but he hits hard enough, and if most heavyweights took that shot, they would at least feel it. Joyce barely blinked, bounced off him, and that must have been so demoralizing for Joseph Parker to land that shot so perfectly, and nothing happens, and this guy's working, popping the jab, getting in close, throwing the uppercuts down the middle, body shots, must have been so demoralizing. And after round 4, and round 4 by the way, Parker had success. Aside from that, he had some good success in the exchanges with Joyce. A couple of nice sort of counter left hooks at times, some nice jabs of his own as well. Parker had success in round 4. But to me, the commentary team gave Parker round 4. I couldn't. Quite frankly, I didn't give Parker a round after the first. I felt he got dominated quite frankly. He had some moments here and there, but I felt he got dominated. And yeah, as this fight played out, it was Parker who was uncomfortable. He was trying to get away from Joyce with lateral movement, but he just couldn't escape. He was getting trapped in corners, trapped on the ropes, and Joyce would work away, jab his way in, and work away to the body in particular. Even when Joe Parker would try to get some respite in the clinch, Joyce would be working with a free hand. And it's clear that, yeah, Joyce doesn't have like one punch KO power in terms of like explosiveness, but it's like getting hit with sandbags. You can get hit with one, no problem, but time and time again, that shit adds up and it drains the life out of you. And we saw that in this fight. And yeah, as the rounds went on, Parker was just getting beat up. He was getting bloodied. I think it was round 7 maybe, in and around that area, round 6, round 7. Parker had a bad cut on his right eye, I believe. I think that was caused by a jab. And Parker's face was becoming mashed up. I would say round 10 was Joe Parker's final stand, I guess I would say. He tried to exchange with Joyce on occasion, landed a couple of good overhand rights, and he even finished the round with a really good like triple left hook. But again, he got outworked. He got completely outworked, but had some good moments in round 10. And round 11, Parker was spent and Joyce knew it. He jumped right on Parker. I think he hurt him early on in the round. I might be wrong here, but I think he hurt him with like a short right uppercut. Joyce jumped all over him, landing short, sharp shots to the body, to the head, or clubbing shots to the body and head. And eventually, I think it was Parker who tried to throw a lazy jab, and Joyce counters with a hard left hook, bang on the chin, drops Joseph Parker in the corner, and he was gone. He was done. He beat the count, but like on the 9th second, and he was fucked. He was done. This was dominant. Nobody's done this to Joseph Parker. No matter what you think of Parker, you may think he's overrated, bloody blah. Nobody's done this to Joseph Parker. He got beat up. He got mashed up and stopped. Joe Parker's got a good chin, but he sustained too much punishment in there. Too much. He could take the single shots. He could early on in the fight. He could take them, but it's all of those body shots. It's those jabs to the face, wearing you down. Even like the punches on the arms, they wear you down, man. This Joyce is so heavy-handed. Not in a way where he's gonna blast you out early on with one shot. No, he drains the life out of you. I said on Twitter, Joyce's boxing style is the equivalent of carbon monoxide poisoning. It's slow, it's suffocating, but it will get the job done. He's a violent man, Joyce. He's strong. He's big. He throws a lot of punches. His cardio is ridiculous for a man of his size. And I think we saw in this fight how good his feet are. Especially from like an athletic standpoint. Everybody always says about Joyce's slow hands. But interestingly, in this fight, his hands got quicker as the fight went on. But his feet in this fight were quick. He never let Joseph Parker off a hook. He never gave Joseph Parker a respite, a breather, or a chance to get back in the fight. He stayed on him like white on rice. I felt this was a great performance by Joyce. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the beatdown. And I enjoyed the knockout. This is what I want to see. I want to see aggression. I want to see finishes. And that's exactly what Joyce delivered. The only thing I will say in watching this fight, I wish Joyce turned pro earlier. I really do. Because this kid is... he's not a kid. He's older than me. This man is dangerous. He's a problem. We know right now Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk are number 1 and number 2, however you see it. But Joyce is right up there with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. In fact, if those guys can't knock this guy out in 4 or 5 rounds, they are toast. they are toast. They do not have they don't have the conditioning to beat a Joe Joyce if they don't blast him out early. They don't. They just don't, in my opinion. And even Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, I'm telling you now, Joe Joyce gives these guys a fucking hard fight. And who knows, maybe he can pull off a result. He's got his flaws, of course he does, but this guy is ridiculously strong. He's got a great gas tank. He's got underrated footwork. His footwork is so underrated. Always in a good position to punch, usually. He's got quick feet. He can close the distance quickly. Cuts the ring off really well. He's got good feet. And one thing I noticed in this fight with Parker's overhand right, yes, his lead hand was low, and he was getting caught at times, but he had a good habit of like raising that shoulder and taking the sting off that shot. Listen, I'm really impressed. I expected Joe Joyce to win this fight, and I expected, as this fight went on, for Joe Joyce to give Parker a bit of a beating and win this fight on points. But honestly, I didn't really expect a stoppage. Didn't really expect it. I'm very impressed, and I really enjoyed that performance. It was nice to see, because last week's boxing left a bad taste in my mouth, to be honest. But yeah, I enjoyed this. Credit to Joe Joyce. I believe he is now the WBO interim champion. Listen, man, if Tyson Fury wants to stay active and he can't get that Joshua fight, let's throw Joe Joyce in there. I'm telling you now, Joe Joyce gives Tyson Fury a hard fight. And I think Tyson Fury knows that as well. I saw his reaction after Parker got fucking leveled. I think Tyson Fury knows that Joe Joyce is a hard night's work. I really do. I know this guy doesn't look... It's weird watching this guy fight. He does look cumbersome at times, that is true, but he fights within a rhythm that suits him extremely well. And that rhythm, if you let this guy get ahead of steam, that rhythm is extremely hard to break. And it's a rhythm of violence, pressure. He'll break you down. This was a great performance. As far as I'm concerned now, obviously, again, I'll say it one more time. Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, they are ranked as the best. I think it's time now that we put Joe Joyce up there with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. He's a top 5 heavyweight. He's top 5. Joe Joyce is a top 5 heavyweight. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. Share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.